Hey everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to the second part of my Historathon / November TBR reading vlogs. So if you don't know, Historathon is a readathon going on the entire month of November. It is hosted by Gloria Z. Thompson, Lindsay's Little Library, and Amanda from On the Middle Shelf. And the goal is just to read more historical fiction. So if you read one, you participate. If you read only historical fiction, you participate. But each host put out 3 different prompts that could just guide your reading. And I decided to use that as my November TBR. So in each host, I had one prompt that was actually I used as a historical, at least one. Some of them are 2 that are actually historical, and the other 2 are just whatever else. So each vlog, I'm doing 3 vlogs, and each one I'm reading one from each host. So hope that makes sense. I will link my TBR down below as well as part 1 of the vlogs. But now part 2, I have just started, and I read Enemies of the Heart by Andy Stanley, and this counted as a favorite author. So I love Andy Stanley. He is a Christian preacher who just comes off very conversationally. He's just a great public speaker and just a great pastor. I mean, he's awesome. His books are great. His sermons are great. I love him. And this one I gave a 4-star. This is an older book. I think it's at least 10 years old, and it is very it's a little harsher than some of his others. And so basically he says there are no behavioral issues. They're all heart issues. And so the 4 biggest ones that are kind of getting in our way are greed, jealousy, anger, and oh my gosh, I finished this 2 days ago, and I clearly and greed, jealousy, anger. Hold on, I'm gonna look at my notes. Okay, I'm back, and funnily enough, the last one was guilt, which is actually the one that I feel like I struggle the most with. But anyway, so he is saying like the operating principle, the kind of mindset among all of these is like for guilt, it's I owe you. For anger, it's you owe me. For jealousy, it's God owes me because God gave X, Y, and Z to this person, so God owes me. And then the last one, greed, is I owe me. I can hoard all my stuff because I owe me. And so that is really interesting. And it definitely, like I said, it's a little harsh. And I think the times when I'm feeling really prickly are probably the times when I most need to examine my heart in that way. But I do feel like the solutions were a little bit easier said than done, which obviously, I mean, there's no real way to work through that in a short book like that. But, just pray, forgive, give, all of that are really great solutions to kind of healing your heart. And I also loved he had a whole section about how to help your kids kind of check their heart and identify their heart and their feelings and kind of nip things in the bud. And I really like that. He gave very practical questions that he asks his children, or asked his children, they're grown now, but asked his children regularly. And I really like that. And so yeah, 4 stars. Not my favorite Andy Stanley, but definitely one worth pondering and thinking about and seeing like where my heckles got up and why. So that's the first book for that, and I will check in later.
Hey everyone, so today is one of those super weird days where everyone in my house is still asleep, and I'm not sure why. It's like 7:45 in the morning. This never happens. So I'm going to try to be kind of quiet, but I have finished The Woman with the Blue Star by Jenoff, and this fulfills the prompt of a color in the title. And so this is about a girl who is Jewish, and she's living in Poland, and she's living in the ghettos, and then her family gets evacuated. They're supposed to go to the concentration camps. Her and her family managed to escape and live in the sewer. So like, I don't know if that was actually a thing, but like, I can't imagine. And so they're living in the sewer. And then we also get the perspective of a young Polish girl who is not Jewish, but she's living in Poland in this time. She sees Sadie is our Jewish girl, Sadie and Ella sees Sadie in the sewer, and they become friends. And it's just their friendship, their willingness to stake their lives for each other. This book was hard, and I really enjoyed it. It was a different perspective. Like I said, I don't know if that was actually a thing, but different perspective than I've seen before. I'm sure it was a thing. And it was so, you could smell it, you could see it, you could feel the darkness, the heaviness, and the fear. And, it was a lot. And so I really enjoyed it. I do think there were some pacing issues. The beginning, was much more like riveting, and the very end, but there was a little bit of slow times, but I was always compelled to pick it up. And I just really like the conversation around humanity and the resilience of humans, but also like what it means, like, and what we'll do in times of stress. And I don't know, it was a lot, but I really enjoyed it. So 4 stars for that one. And, now I'm reading, so I had to switch it up. I was going to read a book set. So for a book set in somewhere I've been or want to be, I was going to read Out of the Easy by Ruta Spettis, which is set in New Orleans. However, I cannot get a digital copy of that in a reasonable time. And so, I don't know why, but anyway, in a reasonable time, I can't get a copy. So instead, I'm going to be reading Knit the Season, which is the 3rd in the Friday Night Knitting Club by Kate Jacobs. And it's set in New York City, and it's around the holidays, and it follows the same cast of characters from the first 2 books. And my complaint about the first 2 books is just that there's a lot of characters, so it's like really wide but not super deep. And so I'm kind of expecting that from this one. The first book I gave 4 stars, the second book I gave 3 stars. So I'm not expecting like my world to be rocked, but it is November 16th. It's actually my half birthday, which whoop whoop. It's also Starbucks. They give out their free holiday cup, like the plastic holiday cups today, which is a big deal in my house. So it's going to be a fun day. But anyway, my point is it's getting close to the holidays, and I have yet to read really any holiday books. So Knit the Season is going to be in place of Out of the Easy. So I will let you know when I've read more of that.
Hey everyone, so I have finally finished the last book for this vlog, and so I've filmed this clip. This is my 3rd time because all 3 of my kids are right here, and being quiet for like literally 2.5 minutes is an impossible task for 3 small children. So I finished the last one, which is Knit the Season. It is number 3 in the Friday Night Knitting Club by Kate Jacobs. And so this is a series that very much has to be read in order. And I would even recommend like back to back to back to back, because it's been a couple years since I read the first 2. And I remembered very little about the characters. Thankfully, I had written detailed reviews about the first 2. And so I was able to like track enough. But this one specifically, so the books are set in New York City, this is for the prompt of a place you've been or want to go. And I love New York, especially at like the holidays. And so that's what I was thinking it was for. But they actually go to Scotland in this to see. So the premise of the story is there's a knitting store that's run by this woman named Georgia. And we get to know Georgia as well as her daughter Dakota and her friends, the people that work at the knitting store. There's a lot of characters. I really like the first book in the series. The second one was kind of okay. And my problem with them is like it was like 4-star, 3-star, and then unfortunately this one's 2-star. Just because there's a lot of characters. And in this one we don't get all of the characters, everything, like they all kind of make little pop-ins, but it's Dakota going to Scotland to see some of Georgia's family, and then it's flashbacks like to Georgia's life from the time she was a teenager to like becoming a mother, I think. And I just didn't like really care, and this definitely felt like just a fluff kind of filler book. You do get like where everybody kind of ends up, but I just like one without rereading the other 2. I feel like I was a little bit, it was really hard for me to remember who's who and whose backstory is what and all that kind of stuff. There's no like, backstory given to you in this book. And so, I don't know, I'm going to keep it on my shelf because I think if I were to read them back to back to back, yeah, I would enjoy it more for sure. But as it was, like, it was a lot of flashbacks, and I don't really love that. And, it just, I don't know, it wasn't great for me. So I'm glad I read it. It's been like on my shelf forever, and it's holiday time, so that's great. So I'm glad I read it. Didn't love it. But that is the end of the second round. So I've done one prompt from each of them in round 1, one prompt from each Historathon host in round 2 here, and then I will have one more video next week with one more prompt from each of them, and we will have completed all 9 Historathon prompts. So feels good, and let me know if you've read any of these books, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.